Welcome to Biz Dev Live. I'm so excited, so excited. It is January 12th, 2022. It's the start of a new year. And I know that you, very much like myself, are looking for boundless success. So we have the perfect person to talk to us today, the author of Boundless Success, Regina Nunnally. Now, she's an attorney. She's somebody that really understands how to push towards your goals. We're going to talk to her. Stick with me. We'll be right back after the Biz Dev Live theme to talk about boundless success. I want to hear where you're tuning in from, so make sure you get into the comments, and I want your questions. I want to hear your struggles. We want to help you get where you want to go. Remember, this is the show for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. This is Biz Dev Live.
Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time, live. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration, Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Business development, not even selling it. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is business development, not even selling it. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Biz Dev Live. This is business development, not even selling it.
All right, everybody. Regina Nunnally. She is a native of Daytona Beach, Florida. Regina is currently a criminal defense attorney, works as an assistant public defender in Bunnell, Florida. I hope I'm saying that right. And then she has won numerous awards for litigation. Regina has seen firsthand how ignorance can make a person vulnerable. So she uses her life lessons forged in the heat of battle to teach, invest knowledge, and change minds. Regina is also an ordained minister and co-pastor of Restoration Church in Daytona Beach. Her ministry began at 12 years old. Her father was a pastor. That's why she identifies herself as the Preacher Kid Sensation, or PK Sensation for short. If you follow her on Instagram, she incorporates precepts and tenets from her faith to you how to be more than an overcomer. Regina is an author of Boundless Success, right on Amazon.com bestseller, and has written numerous articles for online and offline publications. Therefore, she uses her writing abilities to communicate her solutions to everyday problems such as legal, stress, rejection, unforgiveness, relationships, finances, travel, and life success. Regina is the creator and founder of the World Through My Eyes, LLC, which is an ecosystem of diverse services providing personal development, travel, finance, and personal care products, online resources. Oh, man. All right. We're going to get into it. Regina, welcome to the show.
Hey, Cameron. Hey, thank you for inviting me. Yep.
All right. So you're up in Daytona Beach, Florida. Talk to us about what you currently do to help people. I've just listed off a myriad of things. You got the book. What's your day-to-day? What does that look like? How are you helping people right now?
Well, I narrow it down to one thing. I am a problem solver. And as a criminal defense attorney, we solve problems, we solve issues. And generally, we deal with the Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment. And when the case comes to us, we are identifying issues that may affect the outcome of the case. But mainly, what I do is look for the issues, try to analyze it, and then we try to do our best to work out the case. If we can't, then we take it to trial. And so I'm a trial dog. So I'm a trial attorney as well. So I've been in the trenches. I know how trials work. And so I just narrowed it down that people have something that's going on. I am in a position to help them because I was created for good works. And because I was created for good works, I should use my powers for good, not evil. So,
I
and
love
so
that.
that
I love that.
transcends into other areas as well. So as I go along, I just apply that I'm created for good works, problem solver. I just take on the form of whatever it is I'm dealing with.
And I love, what I got from your bio and your story so far, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of it, is you've worked and you've built this career around doing good, but you didn't stop there. And I think, this thing, especially when you're talking about entrepreneurship, the mindset, I really am passionate about helping young people, especially, looking forward to the advice and the talking points that we're going to get into. But I want to get into the story because I think these are some of the points that are going to come out in the conversation, is that you have taken a piece of what you could have had and expanded on it and done so many other things. And I'm excited to hear that story. So what did little Regina want to be when she grew up? And how has that changed? Tell us your story.
All right. Well, little Regina really didn't know what she wanted to do. And I come from, like I said, my father was a pastor, and my mom, she used to drive school buses. They're from Georgia. They come from a sharecropping background. And so everybody wanted to work, 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 work. And I did not have, nobody went to college. Nobody in my family, except my brother, he went to tech school for 2 years, but I guess you can count that. But it wasn't until my dad got hurt he was a construction worker, and he was building it's called the Ocean Center now. He was building it. He actually got hurt on the job, and he almost got killed. So I remember coming home from school one day, seeing him laying up in the bed, and my mama, spraying Lysol in the air, like she was trying to cover up the scent of blood because he was wounded. And so my daddy had to go through workers' comp, and here I am, I'm a teenager. I don't know anything about legal anything. I don't know nothing. I was in between, whether I want to be a nurse or whether I want to be a doctor, maybe a lawyer. And so I don't know. It was just something in me that felt like my daddy really didn't get the representation he should have gotten. But again, I don't have no experience in this, but I had this feeling, because when you with a 2-income home and all of a sudden it goes to a 1-income home, finances start to become a major issue in the house, especially when the main breadwinner, is going through something. And so I just didn't feel like he didn't get the right treatment, or we're struggling, and that's the best they could do financially for us. So I decided that maybe I want to be a lawyer. However, I still wasn't sure about that until I went to junior college. And I was like one of these people, I don't like to take risks. I'm like, I'm not taking risks. But I was looking at something and I was in the school bookstore or something. And this lady walked up to me, because I was looking at paperwork dealing with legal, being a legal assistant or maybe a paralegal, because I wanted to take it slow. And she was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm looking at this." And she says, and I said, "I want to do this before I become a lawyer." And she just said, "Well, why don't you just go ahead and be a lawyer?" And I looked at her like, and that's what changed my mind. And I don't know who that woman is to this day, but she just told me, just go ahead and do it. And so I went to college, went to law school, become an attorney. And but along the way, because I come from a family of service, that's what we did. So I'm just serving others with my gifts and talents. And that's why it's transcended into other areas, because I knew how to write. I was a good storyteller. I'm animated, as you can see. I'm a drama queen. Okay. So my closing arguments, when I get ready for my closing arguments, people they stop what they're doing to come down, because they want to hear what I have to say, because they feel like they're in church. So anyway, that's what happened. It evolved over a period of time. And I didn't set out to be a criminal defense attorney. That's
And
not
what
I
age? What
intended.
age were you when you were inspired to be a lawyer? What age was that?
This was in junior high. I'm dating
Wow.
myself. So we're talking about, I was 13 or 14 years old.
That's amazing. Amazing. And so what were some of the next steps as you kind of went on that journey? Because obviously you made a decision to be an attorney and you went on and did that. What were some of the things that got you through? And was there any of these sort of makings of, because you've become an author, right? Not every lawyer becomes an author. Not every lawyer gets into e-commerce and providing other services, right? You know, I would say for a lot of people that, you know, I'm a lawyer, I'm busy enough doing that, and it's hard enough to do that. Why do these other things, right? So what was that? What did that journey look like? What made you sort of have this mentality that I want to, or I have to do these other things?
Well, basically, it's when a circumstance occurs, it starts to cause you to reevaluate things, like this pandemic. This pandemic shut everything down. And when I was home, and thank God I'm working, I started to reevaluate my circumstance. And that's when I start seeing, well, you know what? I need to step it up. I need to change some things up. So the entrepreneurship, my father was an entrepreneur. He believed in working, but he also believed in working for yourself. And he tried to instill that in me, Cameron, but I wasn't feeling it because I saw how they had all these businesses, it wasn't working. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want that headache. I want to work for the man, give you my check, my benefits, and I can go about my business. And that was my attitude. But it wasn't until 2017 when I was in front of a judge, and all he loved to do was go to trial. And I had 6 jury trials in 4 months. That is unheard of. 6 jury trials in 4 months. I was wearing down. And I said, this guy don't really care about my well-being. And so I literally said these words. I said, God, something has to give. And then on top of all that, I'm working all these hours being paid the same amount of money. And my money was looking funny. My change was looking strange. I said, God, I need a side hustle. Now, this is Regina. I don't like extra work. I like my time. But what happened was a few months later, somebody called me up and said, hey, I have something are you busy? Something to look at. And that's why I wound up starting a network marketing and travel. And I wasn't expecting that. And when I saw it first, I was like, I don't know about this. I'm like, oh. And then I heard a voice say, Regina, didn't you say you wanted a side hustle? And I'm like, yeah. And so that's when the business side started to kick in. And then I had to learn that because I was hesitant with the personal development. I didn't understand all that stuff, Cameron. I was like, that's school to me. I hated school. School was the devil to me. Okay, I didn't like school. But I embraced it because it was that started to turn me to the entrepreneur side. And I start to see it different. Now, my mom has a business. It's called Willie J Deliveries. It's a moving business and it's named after my father. I didn't like that. But now that my mind has transformed, because one of my mantra is if you want a renewed lifestyle, you got to renew your mind. And when my mind was renewed, I started to look at business different. So now I've gone from hating the idea of being an entrepreneur to loving it because I understand it better. And I didn't let the past failures of my father or my past failures of what they did determine to me that this thing isn't accurate or real or true. And that's one thing I like to tell people. Don't let other people's failures determine your future. Okay. It didn't work out for them, maybe because they did it wrong.
I love that. We got drop the mic for a second right there, right? Don't let other people's failures determine your future. Because I heard you when you're saying, I see other people, they're struggling with these businesses, it's not working for them. I know I combat that a little bit in my life with family members. They say, well, Cameron, I don't know, you're doing this over here and that all sounds well and good, but where's the money? Where's the future? There's somebody over here, they're doing it. They didn't do anything. They didn't make money with it. And like,
exactly,
they're not me. I love that. I love that. Don't let other people's failures determine your success. Keep going. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to drop a mic on that moment. I loved it.
Yeah. And moving from that, I learned that There's seasons to everything. I learned that what I have is not for everybody. It's for somebody, but it's not for everybody. And that's part of business. And I had to embrace that because it comes with the territory. And I had learned to just go with the current, to go with the flow. Sometimes we fight the current because we don't like how the setup is. But it's not so much not liking it, it's learning how to conform, learning how to adapt. You know, that new word they were saying last year, pivot, 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 pivot. You got to know how to pivot. You have to go with the flow. And so those are the skills that I learned in business. And it actually transcended into my legal career. And I start to think different even there. Even when I'm picking a jury, when I pick a jury, I'm now thinking, who do I want on my team? I got a certain ticket from the Eagles. Where did I get that from? From a business point of view. So now I look at things much more differently. And I embraced the fact that whatever it was that I was asking for, it turned into something totally different, but God knew that. And then if I'm wise enough to be keen to those things, then like a friend told me, Regina, you the type of person, if they dropped you in the middle of the jungle, you would still figure it out. You would become queen of the pygmies. You're still gonna go to the top. You're right. So
yeah, I love that. I love that. You gotta adapt. And Susan Castelli's tuning in here. She's saying, yes, learn to adapt. So she agrees with you. We got Cheryl Vargas who's tuning in. Cheryl, let us know where you're tuning in from today. I want to hear that. We got Rosemary from Scarsdale, New York, tuning in. We got Susan Castelli who's tuning in from Ontario, Canada. Our international folks, our international audience, even though she's closer to me than some folks in the United States here. And then we got, what else do we have? I saw Dan, who's in the comments with me. So got some folks in. So let's get into our talking points here. I'm really excited to talk about some of these things that you lined up for us in terms of talking points today here. Hope is not a strategy. So what do you mean hope is not a strategy?
Okay. Hope is the expectations of things to happen. What you want to happen, what you would like to happen. But if you don't have a strategy or plan put in place, that's what's going to be an expectation. And your hope is basically the goal in mind. But you have to put in place, either by purpose or by design, the plan to get there. So a strategy, a plan, a system, something that's going to get you moving towards that hope or goal for it to manifest. And that was something I used in my travel when I was doing my travel parties. And people were like, oh, well, I like to go travel. I like to go to well, what's your plan? What's your strategy? Did you start making moves? Do you have this in place? And you're hoping for something to happen, like it's going to drop in your lap. That's not reality. All right. The reality, what you want requires some effort, and it's going to require work. It's going to require some type of movement. And so that's why I tell people hope is not a strategy. Wanting something to happen is great. But then the question is, well, how's it going to happen? And I think some people have been misled to believe that if I just want something bad enough, it's going to just manifest. I said, no, a lot of things that I wanted, I had to work towards.
I love that. Yeah, no, I think that wanting something to happen and working for it are two totally different things. And I don't want to steal your thunder here, but just starting, right? Just starting. Right. I think that's something that's so common. Press the damn button. Now, one of the things, just to talk about some of my own weaknesses and challenges with starting, I started this BizDev Live show in April of 2020. And so this is episode 293, right? But so I pushed the button. Thank you. I pushed the button, got started. But people talk about podcasts and are you on Spotify? And I was like, well, things aren't perfect, and if it's not really meant for audio, it's a visual show, and every excuse in the book, but just do it. So finally, a couple days ago, I uploaded one of the first episodes that I've been able to Spotify. I'm working on getting just get it done. You can do it. It's not that hard. At the end of the day, it wasn't that difficult once I made that decision to do it. So that's our next talking point, right? Plans change, decisions do not. So talk to us about that. Plans change, decisions do not.
Right.
And Susan Capelli says hope keeps you going. So we got to talk about that, right? Hope keeps you going. Just on the last piece, right? Hope keeps you going. I don't know if hope keeps you going. I don't know if I gotta push back a little bit, Susan, because I think that's part of what Regina's talking to, is that hope can get you so far, right? Hope can, I hope this works out, but what I think really sustains, and Regina, I don't know, maybe I'm on the wrong boat here with what you're talking about, but to me, you take that action, right, and you see the results, and you either learn, you either lose or you learn, right? Right? What is it? You win or you learn, right? It's not win or lose; it's you win or you learn, and that's how you move forward. That for me keeps me. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, the question you want me to.
I was just because Susan was saying hope keeps you going, and then I definitely want to get into plan change, decisions do not. Right?
I was listening to this guy, and here's the thing, and here's the other side of the plan. Don't fall in love with the plan so much, because things change. Your trajectory changes. Like, let me give you an example. When I set out to be a lawyer, I knew the basics. Go to college, go to law school, and that's what you do, right? So, but to get to that point, I had my idea was, okay, I'm going to apply to law school, I'm going to take the LSAT law school admissions test, and I'm getting in law school. Now, I know you have to have like a cutoff and all this kind of stuff. So that's the plan, right? But sometimes you don't execute the plan correctly, or, I fell short, and I thought, okay, so what do I do now? So I wound up coming back home, no job, despondent because I didn't get into law school. It didn't happen the way I thought it would, like I planned it out. And so I had to make a choice. So am I going to let the fact that the plan that I put in place didn't work out, or am I going to continue to work towards that goal, my hope, even though it may not be working as well as I thought? And so so even if you put a plan in place, don't fall in love with the plan. The plan may have to get tweaked. The plan is going to change. There's going to be some stops and some goals along the way. So just because it doesn't fall into a cookie cutter, perspective expectation that you wanted, doesn't mean the plan is not going to work. It just may mean that you may have to make some choices, make some decisions along the way. That's what I mean about, plans change, but you still have to decide whether you're going to go forward with what you're going to do or not. Decision making is always going to be a given. So in my case, I came back home. It took me 2 years to get into law school. And I was frustrated, but the plan is I'm going to law school, but how am I going to get there? So I had to adjust my mindset. I had to get around people that was going to encourage me. I worked for free and I interned for free for a judge because I saw, hey, this is what I want to do. So I want to be around the people. And I kept adding, I kept applying until it happened. So did the plan of how to get there change? Yeah. It went here, it went there. But I decided that I'm going to stick it out. I decided that I was going to do these things to keep myself motivated, even though the plan might not have worked out the way I expected. And that's what I mean. So don't get so strict about we got to have it done this way. It's got to be done this way. It's not going to happen all the time the way you want it. And you will be sadly and sorely disappointed all the time. So, yeah, expect it. Your plan's going to change, but your choices of what you do, why those plans are changing, or what you do to go along with the flow does not.
Love that. And we got Susan Castelli. She's keeping up with us here. She's talking about going with the flow, right? I believe Regina's saying your plan may not work out as you plan. Go with the flow. Just keep your eyes on the goal. There's different roads, right? So we got some folks following along here well. And I say a big part of this, right, is being compassionate with yourself, because so many people get, I need to do this perfect way. And if it doesn't happen that perfect way, they start beating themselves up and prevent them from taking those next steps to walk towards where they want to be and the places they want to go. And it may be a different path. It may be a different road. It may be a different career. It can still take you where you want to go, right? It still can be good for you. And I really appreciate that. All right. So let's get into this last talking point here. Be allergic to ignorance. What you talking about there, Regina?
Well, again, you see my shirt, allergic to ignorance. Now, when I started on the business journey, going through that process, and like I said, when 2020 hit, everything shut down, even the travel business, that shut down, and I had my day job. But I still had other things I hadn't tapped into. So they talk about, what are you trying to do? What's your purpose? Why are you doing what you're doing? And can you identify your avatar? Like, what's an avatar? Like, I ain't never heard of avatar. Just say who your audience is, but avatar. So I'm like, well, what do I do? What am I all about? What's really driving me? Right. And then I had to go back to what I do for a living. So it's like I have clients that come in and they say some things that I'm like, where do you get this information from? Like, possession is 9/10 of the law. Where did you get that from? You know what it is? I just come up with some off the wall things. And I realized they're ignorant. They don't really know. And I have to fight against that ignorance, trying to redirect their mind, to teach them, to educate them that the way you're thinking right now is killing you. Okay. The decisions that you are making out of this falsehood is causing you problems, bro. And so then I realized I get so sick of this foolishness. And then the thought hit me. I'm allergic to ignorance. That's what I do. My motivational speaking, my inspirational speaking, the education, it's all about being the mental wealth builder. And that's where all that kind of came out. What do? I add value to your mind. I want to add the value of knowledge and instruction to your mind. Why? Because that stuff is valuable. And if we have nothing to draw from, then we're running on insufficient funds. Come on now, And so the more you know, the more you grow. Why is there personal development? Why are people developing? They're not learning anything. I have a master class that I'm doing called Achieving Personal Success. And last night I talked about knowledge. And I said, you know what? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. People want to believe all these lies. If the old dog wants to change, they're gonna have to learn something new. And a lot of times, ignorance causes people to miss out on opportunities. Actually, I'm gonna tell you what, ignorance is dangerous because ignorance robs you of a choice. You have options that could have changed your life, but because you didn't know about it, you did something else. There was problems, solutions to your problems, but because you didn't know about it, that problem got worse. Or you might have, leaned to your own understanding and tried to figure it out. Sometimes people don't want to tell you stuff to manipulate you. Ignorance is dangerous because it causes you to be easily manipulated. It causes you to be a slave. Why you don't think, I'm just going to go there. People didn't want slaves to read. They didn't want them to be educated because then they wouldn't be fit to be slaves anymore. They couldn't be easily directed. So that's why I'm allergic to ignorance. I'm sorry.
I just want to. I think it's such an important point. If you are in a relationship, and I don't care if it's family relationship, romantic relationship, business relationship, if the person is telling you, don't go and look at other options, don't go and learn something new, don't spend time on informing yourself, like right away, you know that is not somebody that is looking out for you. They do not want you to grow. They do not want you to expand. If they're saying, why are you going to go take that class? Why are you going to go to continue your education? Why are you going to go do this? Now, I'm not saying you can't have a debate and a discussion about the values and merits and costs and all that kind of stuff. But if they're just flatly saying, no, don't go and educate yourself, you know that is not a healthy relationship. And we can look to history to point that way. We can look to yesterday to look that way. We can look at, the relationships in our lives. You get somebody that doesn't want you to expand your mind, that is not a healthy person in your life. I love that. We got Aiden hand checking in. He says, so hard to convince people to move away from their ignorant mindsets. It's a tough thing. I mean, and you do this work. I mean, I imagine I know a little bit of the answer. You get somebody that doesn't want to move away from their ignorant mindset. Regina, what do you do?
Well, Aiden and Cameron, here's the thing. My goal is to help you. It's your prerogative if you want the help.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't make people do what they don't want to do because I have been there. Right. You couldn't convince me otherwise, because if I believe what I believe, I'm not changing it until my eyes come open. Right. And so it is difficult to change people's mindsets. I mean, let me give you an example. When I'm picking juries. All right. When you're picking a jury, it's called voir dire. And voir dire is French, I think, for telling the truth. I don't know if I said it because I'm not French, but it means to tell the truth. And we question potential jurors all the time about how they feel about things. Okay, people have deep-seated beliefs and attitude. An attitude is a well-settled perspective about someone or something else. It's well settled. Okay, it is settled. It is stationary. It's sedimentary. So when something has been there for a long time, simply talking to somebody in 5 minutes is not going to break it up and break up that fallow ground and uproot things. Okay, because it's been there forever. All right. However, the only way that people are going to know better, you got to tell them, because here's it: one plants, the other water, and then there's the increase. So I can't make somebody see it my way, but that doesn't mean they didn't hear it. Okay. Just because they don't receive it at that time doesn't mean they didn't hear it. I planted the seed. So in my line of work, when I'm picking juries, we just explain to them, look, we know how you feel about certain things. The question is, are you the best fit for this jury? And if you know you're not the best fit for this jury, then we don't want you. Just let us know right now. Okay. And some people say they're not, and some people will claim they are, and they aren't because they just, lie like that. So we realize that, okay, we know you feel a certain way, but here it does not work. So can you put that aside? Can you suppress that for a moment and do this unrealistic thing of presuming somebody innocent until proven guilty? And if they say yes, we got to go by what they say. All right. So it's hard to change people's minds. All right. So the only thing you can do is tell them the truth and let it be there. And then my clients, and sometimes it's a trust issue as well. If they trust me, it's like in business. People do business who they know, like, and trust. Okay. And if they trust you, then they might give more weight to what you're saying. If they don't trust you, they're going to completely and utterly ignore you. All right. So I cannot say I can make people change their minds. That's something you got to do on your own. All I can do is just tell you what it is, and it's up to you to receive it.
I love that. And you have this amazing book, Boundless Success. You talk about in the book, meeting your goals, encouraging others, taking action, learning to thrive. This piece of it, I imagine, showing up consistently and being somebody that people can trust. What's your take on that? How do you talk to people about showing up and being that person that they can know, like, and trust?
It goes back to the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. We all have an innate need to want to, we want to feel secure, and we want to believe people. And one of the things that makes people believe you, if they see you practicing what you preach. And you have to be consistent with it. When you're lukewarm, wishy-washy, then that creates. And let's go back to my legal background. People have reason to doubt what you say if they don't see you being consistent in what you say. All right. And there's a contradiction. There's a reason to doubt that thing or doubt you. And so consistency in any given thing, it could be good, bad, or ugly. If you're consistent in it, that's your habit, that's your routine, and that's your character. And when people see that, they're going to believe you when you say, I am allergic to ignorance. Well, how is Regina allergic to ignorance? Well, she's always reading. She's educating herself. She questions herself. She questions other things. She's always looking for ways to improve herself. If she believes it and it's real, then, and she seems to be a good person, then you know what? I'm gonna check it out too. So consistency is evidence that you are somebody that they can count on. And folks are looking for people that they can count on that's going to stick and stay. And let me take a little bit back. My father, in the book Boundless Success, is an anthology. And one of the in my chapter is called Finish What You Start. And one of the things that my dad had taught me was about what quitting does. And that goes back to my childhood. My father taught me a valuable lesson that, quitting has its disadvantages. And so, you have to learn how to stay in the game. You have to know how to finish, get across that line. The race is not given to the swift or the strong, but the one who endures to the end. And so consistency, showing up, being there, creates in people mindset that you really believe what you're doing. And if you believe what you're doing, then people will follow that belief. Good leaders are consistent. People follow good leadership because they're consistent in what they say, they're consistent in what they do. They say, now, if you are faithful over this stuff, I know you're going to be faithful over everything else.
I love that. And I think it, I'm part of networking groups, and you can sort of see it with people. And I was looking at a comment or a post on LinkedIn the other day, and the idea that, you can have this moment, right, where maybe on a weekly basis, you're showing up to a mastermind, whatever you're choosing to show up and be present, to be prepared, to be there. Regina's talking about being an attorney in court, and I'm sure she's, worked with attorneys that they show up and they're not prepared. They don't have their notes together. They're apologizing for being late. They're not having their stuff together, and automatically that puts them at a disadvantage. But over the long term, right? Because I want to get to know a person, but I don't want to get to know the person that's showing up in this meeting. I want to get to know the person that's showing up every day. And that person may be different than the person that's showing up in this moment. And it takes me to the idea, we're here in January of 2022. And so many people have like their new resolutions, right? New Year's resolutions, and they're going to jump into the gym, and then they're going to get started on this whole thing, and that's going to fade away. So they're being a person different from maybe the person they were last month, and then that that momentum, that energy isn't going to stay there, and they're not going to show up. And so being intentional and being focused and understanding where you want to be and who you want to be, I think is so important. We talk a lot about getting started and jumping in before you know everything, but that intentionality, like if you're going to do stuff, if you're going to make decisions to move forward, how important is it for you to know where the finish line is, where you want to go in life? You started on a road to becoming an attorney. It didn't go exactly the way that you planned, but you somehow got there. So what do people need to do to push the damn button, take action, and know that it doesn't have to be perfect, but they're on a road to something that they can show up and be prepared and be that person consistently? I don't know if that was too convoluted.
No, a compound question. And Law, we'd be like, can you rephrase that question?
So I mean, basically, I know that it's important to show up. We want to start, but we don't know that. If I start a podcast, how do I know I'm going to stick with it? How do I know I'm going to love it? 10 days from now. And I think there's some strategies around that, right? It's like making sure that I'm doing something that's within the things that I enjoy, right? Not being somebody completely different than myself that I've never been, that I never wanted to be, just because, for example, I want to be Gary Vaynerchuk or Tony Robbins or Oprah Winfrey or somebody else. We all have value in ourselves. And so I want people to do what you're saying, is to show up consistently. But I feel like the thing that keeps people from showing up consistently is that they're trying to do something that's outside of themselves. So what's your advice for getting started and still showing up consistently? What should people have in mind as they're making this decision?
Okay. It all goes back to your why. Why are you doing this? And if your why is about helping others, you're going to stick and stay. You're going to stay in the race. If your why is about you, then when it gets rough, then you're going to be like, you know what? This is not worth it. I'm going to do something else. And then you're going to be a vagabond bouncing around doing this, that, and the other. And like you said, you're not doing what you love to do. You're doing what is popular to do. And I think that goes back almost to your identity. Who are you? Who are you? What do you desire to do? Have you figured that out? Or are you too busy running behind this fad and running behind this person and listening to all these people because you haven't identified what you like to do or what makes you you? I think we have so many counterfeits and people trying to pose and be like everybody else. So I'm going to say this to you, and I know I'm going to get somebody mad. I don't want to be like Oprah. I don't want to be like Tony Robbins, because I don't know what those people did or what they had to go through to get to where they are. I can be Regina. You can be you. Learn to be you. Learn and embrace being you. If you don't know what your calling, thank you, Susan. When you don't know what your calling is or your field of favor, as I've heard it, or you don't know what your niche is or what it is that you desire to do, what is it that you like to do, if you don't know it, then you're going to be all over the place. And when you mention something about how do I know if this podcast thing for me, what we lawyers do is when we get to law school, a lot of us be having an idea what we want to do when we get out of law school. So one way that we find out whether we like something or not is to intern. It's to shadow someone who's doing the thing that we think we like to do. And then when they get in it, then they find out, oh, no, this is not for me, So you may have to just, do your research, get with somebody who's doing it, kind of get your feet wet and feel it out. And if you don't feel it, then that's your evidence right there. That might not be something you're really interested in before you start putting all this money in the advertising and the name, and then you get in it and you have no clue what it requires of you. Everything's going to require work, and you have to have a thick skin. You got to know that there's people that are not going to believe in what you have. They ain't going to believe in your dream. They're not going to believe in it. Why? Because it wasn't given to them. So if you remember what your why is going through this thing, it doesn't matter. You're going to be motivated and determined to do what you have to do, because somebody's out there that need what you have. And that's why I'm saying I'm allergic to ignorance. If I have a meeting and nobody shows up, I'm still talking. Okay? I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to put 110% in, because it's not about me. If I let the numbers bother me, then I'm not in it for me. I'm in it for me. I'm not in it for the love of it.
I think this is such an important thing. We did a show, me and Steve Spiro, on Monday about finding clarity in your mission with the Master Connector show. Finding clarity, right? Getting a really understand, because you get to this understanding of what your why is behind things. And then suddenly I feel like it becomes a lot easier for you to make decisions. It's a lot easier for you to say yes to things. And it's a lot easier for you to say no to things. And so it just streamlines your day, your week, your month, because you know what you're saying yes to, and you know what you're saying no to. And then you can get really down to it about what's, prioritizing your time and all that kind of stuff. But just in the very the speed of the day, yes, this heads me towards my goal. No, this does not. Done. Right? It just is like a speed ramp to success. And in the comments here, we got Susan Lynn, who was helpful out. Need to know your calling. Aiden says he knows mine. I asked him, Aiden, what's your calling there? He says to change people's mindsets about money, one person at a time, and help them get on a path to financial success. I love it. And Susan Costello says you must be close touch with your inner highest power to know you find your calling. And I'll say this, I talk to young folks, 16, 17 years old, and it's a very challenging time for them to sort of answer that question, right?
Yeah.
What do you love? What's your calling? And you may not know.
Yeah.
But exactly what Regina was talking about. What's the way? Try, taste, right? You don't know all the foods that you like. You haven't been exposed to this type of cheese or this type of salad or this type of meat or steak or whatever. Like, taste, right? You don't know if you like lobster. Taste, right? Like, you don't know. Go out and get some one way or another. You may not be able to buy the plate yourself, but there's somebody else, especially when you're young. I mean, and for anybody that wants to be an attorney that's young and watching the show or wants to switch careers, if somebody sends you a message on LinkedIn, Regina, and says, "Hey, I'm interested to know more about being an attorney," what would you say to them?
Don't know. I used to be youth pastor back in my
we glanced over that, right?
Yeah, I'm like a Jill of all trades. I've done it, and that's another reason I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate for the underdog. But anyway, if you were to ask me, I'm gonna ask you why, because a lot of times people want to be a lot of things because of the money and the prestige and the title. My answer would be, well, why? Because
what if that young person says to you, so they're reaching out to you and they said, my mother and my father, they're dealing with this legal challenge, right? And so that's why I want to be an attorney. What are you going to say to them then?
Well, I'll tell them that I understand where you're coming from, because that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Same thing with me. I saw something that I thought wasn't fair. And at that time, I was powerless. There's nothing I could do about it. But that stuck with me. And that kept reminding me of, Regina, why are you doing this? You want to help people. And even that was a different type of legal law, practice of law. Like I said, the criminal defense world chose me. I didn't choose it, really. I didn't think I could do it, really. Um, but if your desire is to help people, that's what we do as lawyers. Not explain to them what is it that we really do. We are problem solvers. We help people at their most worst time of their lives. By the time I get the case, the damage is already done. So I'm doing damage control. So I'll explain them what the real purpose of a lawyer is, so they can understand where it is that they can fit in. And if you feel you saw injustice, there's only, and like the law does limit you to certain things you can do. But being a lawyer is not just a courtroom. Being a lawyer, you looked at as a leader. You looked at as a upstanding person in society. So you could get into doors that some people cannot get into, to be able to share with people and educate them, so they won't go down the same road your parents went through. So they can avoid the situation that might have gotten them there by, whether it's by bad, I don't know, it's sometimes finances, and like my dad, he got hurt. So some things out of your control. And so and you can help people understand what their rights are. Also let them know that, just because you have a right to do it doesn't mean maybe the right thing to do. You
I
know,
love that. And the point I was trying to make by asking that question was, you'd be more than willing to have that conversation. And wherever that conversation goes, it would be enlightening. And so the only thing that a person has to lose from, potentially getting into that conversation with you is time, right? All they got to do is just research, send the message. They may lose the time because maybe you're busy and you don't reply back. And I'll say this to folks, that if you're reaching out to somebody, you don't get a response, you're reaching out to a busy attorney, anybody that's worth their weight, and you're looking to get some sort of response back, they're probably going to be busy and they may not get that initial message. There's usually some gatekeepers and email block, all this kind of different stuff going on. But being consistent and reaching out to people, you're going to get these questions that help you find clarity. So whatever trade, whatever career, you want to reach out to me, you want to reach out to Regina because you're looking for some clarity around what you're trying to do. I encourage you to do it. Push the damn button. Even if you aren't clear on where you want to go, you can find clarity by getting started and asking those questions, which is the point I was trying to make, which I think is big. So we're getting close to the end of this year, Regina. I want you to let folks who are watching, one, let them know how they can get in touch with you. Obviously, they can connect with you here on LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, you're on YouTube or Facebook. Over there, you're going to see the description piece, and Regina's in the LinkedIn place. But where else can they go to find you? Obviously, we got the book on Amazon, Boundless Success by Regina Nunnally, that they can pick up. But where can folks find you?
Yeah, that's the book right here. That's my face on it. Just want to say, when your face is on the book, it's a totally different attitude. Let's just say that. Well, you can go to Instagram at PK Sensation. PK Sensation. PK stands for Preacher Kid, just in case y'all didn't know. PK Sensation. Go to Instagram, and I'm on Facebook, Regina Nunnally. Or I also have a fan page called See the World Through My Eyes, and through as in THRU. That's the LLC I created back in 2020, which is the umbrella for all the other stuff that I do. And also on LinkedIn, Regina Nunnally, and on YouTube, my last name, Regina Nunnally, Nunnally, right there. You can just screenshot this and follow that. And I'm also, my book, Amazon.com. I have another book on Amazon.com, Confinement Chronicles, that just hit. And if you love the t-shirt thing, I have something for that too, but that link is kind of weird. So you just got to reach out to me on that. So that's how you can find me. And
so find Regina and all the social networks. It's all over the place. I mean, I think one of the things that I think are really great, and I think we talked a lot to it today, and I think we might have helped people get along, get clarity, and then you spread that message, right? You start and then you just keep expanding, and that's certainly what you've done. I was just showcasing this post on Instagram from you. Make things better and brighter, so you find that clarity and you just keep moving forward in that clarity to make the world better and brighter from your point of view. I love that. Regina, thank you for doing this show with me. I'll let you have the last word and say goodbye to our folks here.
Well, I'd like to say to you all that a renewed mind creates a renewed lifestyle. Your lifestyle is a reflection of what's going on in your mind. If you want to change what's going on around you, you have to change what's going on inside of you. That's basically it. So thank you, faithful viewer. I appreciate you guys, and y'all keep crushing it. And see you on the beaches of the world.
Love it. Crush it. Thank you, Regina. Hang out with me. We're going to play the Biz Dev Live thing.
Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time, live. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration, Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Business development, not even selling it. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is business development, not even selling it. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live.